some.
That's cool too. 3, 2, 1. Oh Lord. Quiet on set. 3, 2.
This is the moment when I realized when I fell in love with music.
Wassup Creatives? Steve Jones Jr. here. This is the Moment podcast. Look, we got a dope person. I'm excited to have my bro Anthony Olds Jr. What's up, man?
Bro, how's it going, man? Thank you for thinking of me, man, and letting me hop in your space, in your world for a little bit and communicate with your audience, man. I appreciate that.
And how have you been?
Bro, I've been well, man. I think since the last time we've seen each other, a lot has happened, man. I moved from Virginia to Dallas. Before that, I got married. So much has been going on, man. My roles have changed. I've been able to expand in some areas that I didn't think that I could do before. And it all happened, man, even during the pandemic, man, I felt my life kind of shifting. So things are honestly well, bro. I can honestly say that things are well, man.
How have things been since you haven't been playing drums every Sunday?
Yo, so I was thinking about it the other day, man. I miss playing drums, bro. I really miss it. And it was funny is, man, a lot of the young cats that used to sit down with me, used to watch me, man. Matter of fact, I was thinking about MJ Thomas the other day. He used to actually, his dad and then would bring his, whether it was stroller or whatever, and he would literally sit down. Like, I remember MJ in diapers, bro. Like, yeah. And to hear him now playing, so it sucks to not play all the time, but it's kind of like I hear myself, through other, younger drummers, man. So it's always kind of a cool thing, man, for real.
For those who do not know, who is Anthony Olds Jr.?
Man, Anthony is a former musician who's taken on the role of educating people, man. Educating people through knowledge, the word of God, embarking on new paths that can be created through the ability to learn, man, to allow your brain to stretch. That's what I would say who I am at this moment. Then it may change, bro. It may change, but right now that's who I am. I'm a former musician turned educator.
One thing I love about Ed is watching his growth and his consistency. I got a quote right here, and I'm gonna read the little quote and get to my first question. A shark in a fish tank will only grow 8 inches. If you put a shark in the ocean, it will grow 8 feet. Mm-hmm. Many times with our generation creatives, they tend to surround themselves with small-minded people. Yeah. How important is it to change your environment and to grow?
Man, I think that it's important to learn this, is that the environment that you're in a moment controls your growth for that season. And depending on how much you want to expand beyond that, that's really going to determine your growth. So if that means that, hey, right now I'm around people who are interested in investing, right? Yeah. You're around a bunch of young investors, everybody's interested in investing. And then it expands to the next level outside of that. So now I'm meeting with people who are interested in doing more than investing, but I want to go to people who's doing investment and real estate. It just depends on how far you really want to go, man. And that statement is very true, because a lot of times, man, people who don't think on your level, or people who, I'll use this word, are not brave enough to think outside of the labels that they put themselves in. Like, you got a lot of people who are wonderful thinkers, man. Creatives can do a lot of different things, but they're scared to think outside the box because they want to fit in. When you live a life that's not created to fit inside the box that society or even the people around you fit into, expanded beyond that could be seen as arrogance, right? Expanded beyond that could be seen as prideful. But the truth of the matter is, you get frustrated when you're stuck inside of a box. So you either find a bigger box or you bust the box that you're in wide open, bro.
Absolutely. one thing I've noticed, like being at an HBCU, understanding, even with me, sometimes your comfort zone can hurt you if you're in there too much. If you don't step out. One of my teachers told me, like, you know, after a while, if you keep getting told you have a lot, you're full of potential, you're full of potential, you're full of potential, it turns into an insult because it's like, when are you going to step out or make that potential of actually a part of you? For the person who is, let's just call it what it is fear, you know, fearful of stepping out of their comfort zone for whatever reason. What advice do you have for them?
For those who are scared to step outside comfort zone, so this is something that I actually been through, man. I tell people all the time. I got married in October of 2019, bro. COVID hits like February of 2020. March of 2020, bro. I get a job opportunity to come to Dallas in May. So it's like, bro, I had no time to really consider my fears, right? I took my fears and I let them control me for so long. And it's like, when I had that opportunity that challenged my fears, it's like, okay, either you stay here and you continue to halt your growth, or you push beyond your fear to really move forward. Man, that decision right there to push past my fears is so important, man. So anybody who's fearful, I would tell them to, number one, you can acknowledge your fears, right? Yeah. But then you have to see how you can grow beyond your fears. You almost want to use your fear as a stepping stool to get to the next level. Because if I can crush my fears, I'll be able to move and expand into the areas that I'm in for me.
While we're talking on fear, the biggest fear amongst Americans today, 2022, is not heights, it's not roller coasters, it's not bugs, scary movies, it's public speaking.
Right.
And please don't get up there and start singing. That's a whole nother type of fear.
Right.
Why do you think that? And we've come across people that by themselves, they can talk about anything in the world.
Right.
You put them in front of a crowd of people or a group of people, they just shut down. Why do people shut down when it comes to public speaking?
Oftentimes people are scared of their voice. They're scared of two different things. And I learned this from somebody, is that they're, number one, afraid how they're going to sound. Number two, they're afraid of how they're going to be received. If I'm not confident in the information that I'm giving to other people, that can be kind of heard, you know. So if I'm getting up in a crowd and I'm supposed to be talking about, you know, the benefits of let's just pick some out the blue, the benefits of health checkups, right? And I know deep down I'm talking to a group of people who may be, you know, kind of opposed to that, right? I have one choice in that moment. Either I'm going to consider what their response is going to be, and I care about them enough to I want to give the response, but sometimes I'm scared that they're not going to receive me. Even though I'm trying to help them, the fear is always nobody's going to receive me. So you have to push past that fear. And then number two, you have to talk with confidence. You know, that kind of runs people away, because it's like, well, I got this information, I studied for it, I'm about to get up and talk in front of these people, but there's this 1 inch of me that feels like I'm gonna fail. So you got to push past that. And here's another part, man. People might not want to hear it, but sometimes you got to bomb, bro. Like sometimes you got to get up and fail, man. I remember one time I was speaking at this for this organization, man, and I knew I failed. Like I knew I bombed, bro. Like, and people would say, "Oh my God, you did great. You did great." And then somebody came to me afterwards and was like, "I know you bombed." So it's kind of like, I gotta be able to combat with the fact that if I fail this one time, I learn from it and I keep going. Yeah.
We're in a generation where we get everything, or can get everything, anything at the click of a button. Now it's just straight up face recognition. We don't use buttons anymore. Right. I'm realizing that technology, the speed of it is a good thing, and it's also a bad thing, because we skip steps. You know, we skip, and we don't have time. A lot of times we don't have a lot of time to put substance and certain key ingredients to make stuff last. Right. How important is patience in a world where you can get everything literally at the snap of a finger?
Have you ever seen cornbread cooked in the microwave? You never seen cornbread cooked in the microwave because there's a process. Yeah, there's a process that has to go into making that. There's a process with the batter. There's a process with the butter. There's a process with allowing it to cook long enough so that it can rise. Much of the rush that we're in is because we don't want the heat. If you notice anything that's cooked in the oven, all of it cooks with intense heat, but the end result is what makes the difference. You can throw a steak on the grill right now, cook it at a high heat, the highest heat that you can for 10 minutes, and it still be rare on the inside because the outside of the steak has adjusted to the heat. That cooked, but the core, the inside, that's undeveloped. So that's how you have a lot of underdeveloped speakers, a lot of underdeveloped musicians, a lot of underdeveloped communicators, because everybody wants to rush through everything, but in the core is still undeveloped. So you have to go through the process of growing, through the pains of the heat that comes with, being a creative, and you take that, you learn from it, and you allow yourself to grow, not just on the outside, right? But from the inside out.
With social media, a lot of times with these, everybody's different algorithms, it's like a trophy room. You see the awards, you see this person is in this country, this person got signed to this person plays for this person, but you don't see the work behind it. You don't see the backstory. Like, I'm still mad to this day that like VH1 don't show like behind the music and stuff, because that would make me like, yo, oh my God, this person actually went through this stuff. Yeah. How important is it to just focus on, because a lot of people will see that and they get distracted. And I think that's where the rushing comes through. How important is it to stay steadfast in your lane and not succumb to what you assume is what greener pastures?
Man, you gotta stay true to yourself. I think a lot of times we have so many copycats, man. I even hear, like, talking about music, I hear everybody when we were younger, everybody wanted to play like Spank. Like, everybody wanted to play like George Spank McCurdy. So I sat down and I learned every single one of his licks, bro, from every song that Ty and GA ever put out. And then on the outside stuff he did when he was playing with Diddy and when he was playing with Lauryn Hill, I would copy him. And so in my small local church, I'm doing it and people are like, oh my God, da, 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 da. But when you go like up north towards Philly, where he's from, and you try to do that stuff, and everybody's like, you just a copycat. Yeah. So it wasn't until I developed like my own style that I began to kind of stand out. So a lot of people have to be true to who they are, man. And regardless of where you are in the market, in the industry, you have to be, cognizant of who you are, bro. I always have said this. One of my favorite producers ever is Ryan Leslie. Ryan Leslie is one of my favorites because his style has always been his style. You know what I mean? He's not going to be, he's not going to be a Warren Campbell. He's not going to be a Just Blaze. He's going to be himself. So that's why when his music came out, a lot of people wasn't, playing, they didn't understand how he was doing what he was doing. But that, You're My Diamond Girl, playing, having that, that I forgot what type of sound that he was using, but nobody else was doing that. I mean, it was just like he was doing stuff that people would just like couldn't believe, but it was his style. Similar to like with Teddy and Mike's stuff. If you listen to what's the song Bruno Mars came out with not too long ago, Finesse. Yeah. If you listen to the drums that he used on that track, it's almost identical to what Teddy did on Michael Jackson's Remember the Time.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's the same patterns, the same syncopations that Teddy used with Bobby Brown. You know what I mean? All that was stemmed from one person. So when you stay true to yourself, man, you can leave a legacy.
The month of June is Men's Mental Health Month. And I'm glad we are putting emphasis on us, because a lot of times we grow up where men are not supposed to cry.
Yeah.
Hold it in, like, be a man. Hold it in.
Yeah.
And we've seen like dudes get 35, 40 years old, either dying, all these health issues, like, yo, what's wrong with you? And stress has taken over their whole body, their whole life, whole 9 yards. How important as a Black man, especially in the crazy times that we're in, to be okay with not being okay?
Bro, it's all a part of a growing process to learn yourself, man. And I think that mental health is such an important area. I'm an advocate for men's mental health. I'm an advocate for mental health in general, but specifically in an African-American context, all men in the African diaspora, we have to understand that there have been years and years of emotional withdrawals placed upon us to where we feel like we can't express ourselves, or we're going to be deemed as angry, or we're going to be deemed as lesser than. You know, if you even take it back to even with some of our parents, you know, when we would get chastised, just depending on how it went, parents would say, "Oh, I know you're not crying." You know what I mean? Or hush up that note, you know, this hurt. you know, you spanking me, this hurts. But that all stemmed from things that they've heard. So we have to, especially this generation, man, we have to get away from a desensitized way of expression. If you express your emotions, it's fine. You cry. But if you're not okay, then you go and ask for help. You know, so that's why therapists are important. And they even have Black therapists now. You know, websites that can help you find Black therapists if that's what you prefer, or, you know, or if you just want a therapist in general, you can go to different websites to do that. So I'm always, you know, seeking. My wife is a therapist. I'm married to a therapist. So my view on mental health is always going to be somewhat intense, because that's what helps save my life and keep me going, is knowing that it's okay to not be okay, but then to have a wherewithal to ask for help.
You brought up your wife. I was going to get into your big move from VA to Dallas. The love story between you and your wife, how did that happen? Where did y'all meet? Talk about that.
So I met my wife, man, even as a child, actually, we always knew each other. Like our churches would fellowship. My dad would go to her church and speak, my grandmother. But it wasn't until we got a little bit older that I kind of like noticed her. And I was kind of like, oh, shoot, she looked different than she did, you know, when we were kids, you know what I mean? And she's older than me. So I'm just like, man, this ain't gonna work. This, you know, I'm too young. Fast forward, man, to 2013. We were in Baltimore, Maryland at a function. And I saw her and I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna shoot my shot. I'm going to speak. And I know we're away from home, so it ain't no like, oh, shoot, you know, this person, that person, this, you know what I mean? So I spoke, man. We were supposed to go on a date, and the date got shut down because I had to babysit my siblings that night. So, yeah, long story short, man, my dad ends up going to their church that next Sunday on like some emergency type stuff. And I saw her, and then, you know, we had already exchanged numbers and things like that, man. So I kept doing what I do and just kept working that joint. And we ended up together, man. And here we are almost 9 years into this joint, man.
Love is a tricky situation. It's a process for sure. For people, because sometimes people get alone and they start making crazy decisions because they don't know how to be with themselves. How important is like patience when it comes to love and that loving that other person that you know you've been for 9 years in it? Like, what advice you got when it comes to love?
You got to know who you are. If you don't know how to love yourself, how are you gonna love somebody else? Yeah. And I think it comes out through many of the choices that we make. If you look at people who are, be careful with my words because I know we're on the podcast. But if you look at people who are itinerant daters, they're always dating somebody else, dating somebody else, dating somebody else, dating somebody else. at some point, if you don't recognize your true value,
wow,
and understand your significance, it don't matter how many people you date, you are never going to be satisfied. So you got to put yourself in a place to where you are confident in who you are, and you take that confidence and you have the mindset. And my pastor always says this, you know, I can want somebody, but I don't got to need them.
wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you take that mindset, man, and that's how you do it. 9 years into this joint, man, I literally, I took my time. Like, me and my wife, we dated for 6 years before we got engaged. And, you know, people were like, man, how did you do it? I said, I knew me. She knew her. We both knew that we were not ready to take the next step towards marriage. So we had to take it upon ourselves to get certain things in order, to do certain things financially. Like, marriage is an investment. You know, people don't want to talk about it, you know, in a practical sense. Marriage is an investment, man. So before you get to that stage, though, you got to know who you are. Know what you bring to the table. You might be the table. You see what I'm saying? So you got to know. You got to know what it is that you bring and be comfortable with that. And from there, you work it out with you know, your partner. But should you be by yourself right now, build yourself up. Do something. Go on vacation. You know, make some crazy investments. You know, do something that you've always wanted to do, and make it happen. Yeah.
And let the people know where you're from. What's your hometown?
Virginia Beach, Virginia. Virginia Beach, Virginia, man.
How was it to move away from home, and not just move away, like move far away from home to Dallas? How was that transition for you?
Man, it was the hardest decision I've ever had to make. Because I left what I knew to come to a place that I'd never been before.
Wow.
I left all my crutches, all of my resources. I left everything to move to Dallas. And it was a very hard decision. But I knew for a fact that my wife had my back. That's number one. But I also felt that, you know, I needed to get away to get me away from a lot of the distractions that I had, you know, back in VA. And I love VA to this day. Matter of fact, I'll be in VA in a few days to do something. And I just left VA like 2 weeks ago doing something as well. So I love it. But also, you get to a certain point, man, going back to a question you asked before, when you expand out of a certain level of thinking, every thought that I had in Virginia was surrounded by the expectation of what I wanted to do for somebody else. Every single thought that I had in Virginia was wrapped around, how can I please this person, that person, this person, that person, limiting myself to their expectations of me. So I had to take it upon myself, man, when I had the job opportunity to think about me, think about my wife, think about our future. And we took that leap, bro. And I love it, man. I love Dallas so much. This move was life-saving for me, man. For real. So
that actually reminds me of a quote I read all the time. Self-care is not vanity, it's sanity.
That's right.
You got to take care of yourself.
That's right. That's right.
Is the food better in Virginia or Dallas?
Dallas, bro. Now, I will say this, that Virginia has a lot of like the cookouts and stuff like that that you're gonna have in Virginia, bro. It's second to none. I mean, East Coast period, bro, is always gonna be great. But when you come to Dallas, they just give you so much food, man. Like when they say everything is bigger in Texas, like that's legit. Your steaks, I mean, killing. You know what I mean? The barbecue, bro, you can't beat it. You can't beat it.
You are a part of a ministry in Dallas that has been blessing me every week. Sunday evenings, it's like, all right, let me go ahead and hop on Instagram real quick. Check out the wheel.
Yeah.
How did you become a part of that?
First off, man, I have, and I always say this, man, I have the greatest pastor and who I believe is the greatest communicator in the world, man. Bishop Jakes has taught us so much, man, about the importance of effective communication,
Wow.
So my job actually, as a lot of people know, I actually work for his school as director of enrollment management and student services. So I was in that role for a while, and I ended up just connecting with various people in the ministry. But the pastor over this specific ministry is a brother of mine, man. Pastor Joe Tubman is like a big brother to me. And we actually moved to Texas almost around the same time. So he came to me about a year ago and said, "Hey, I'm kicking off, this young adult ministry here. We're revamping some things. How do you feel about it?" And I was like, "Okay, shoot." I didn't know that it would lead to, what we're doing now. We were just trying to have something for people to do. And this thing has totally taken off, man, and turned into something different. So I'm just glad that I'm able to serve in such a great ministry, man, a ministry that's changing the world, bro. It's so much that we do, not just at the Potter's House, but just my life in general, man, has expanded since I've been a part of this ministry. So it's outside stuff that we can do, and just a lot of learning, man.
One thing I love about the wheel is that along with saving souls is the big thing, but it's like an emphasis on keeping the people who have been in church all their lives, like keeping them right where they need to be. A lot of times we've been in church so much that we've seen a lot of people that's like, it gets stale. It's like, oh yeah, we going through the motions. I'm cool. I know church. But church, but spiritual walk is an everyday thing. You posted this joint on Instagram yesterday. Let God break you free. Get into that.
Oh yeah.
Just for a minute.
Yeah, man. It was interesting because when I saw that reel and I saw that bull running while inside of a cage, I've never seen nothing like that.
Yeah.
And it was like in that moment, something dropped in me. It was like, yo, this is where we are. Like a lot of us are right here. We're functioning, but we're trapped in cages. So you could be fully functioning and still trapped mentally, even some people physically, some people spiritually, and you're still trapped. But you have to get yourself to a point to where you allow God to help you to break you out of that cage. So you don't just have to fake the funk. I tell people all the time, bro, we were wearing masks in church before the pandemic.
Wow.
They just weren't physical.
Wow. Yeah.
They were mental and they were spiritual. And we were professionals at wearing masks. We were professionals at hiding our true selves, hiding our faces, because we had to perform for people, especially musicians.
Yeah.
Musicians are coming to church broke down, hungry, tired, barely making ends meet. And every Sunday they have to get up there and perform and be the best they know how to be in front of people and get back in the car and become this depressed, anxious, sad person. And we have to get to a point, man, to where we're able to move in a direction of asking God for help, to be not prideful, but to be open to that help, man, and let him break you free from that cage. So you don't have to try to run while trapped in the cage. You can have access to the whole land.
We're living in a time period where racism, in my eyes, this is the biggest racism has ever been, because it's blatant. It's directly in front of you. Like there's no hiding the stuff no more. Like you see it.
Right.
You see white people raiding the Capitol building. But if too many of us walk into a 7-Eleven, it's like, oh,
right.
Stop right there. What do you think the future of not only our church, but our culture is moving forward in life?
I think, and I'm gonna be very careful with this, I think that the future of our culture is going to depend on how we, so me, you, others in our age bracket, inform the generation that's right underneath us. A lot of that generation is used to making the money quick, used to trying to be the next rapper. And I get it. trying to be the next ball player. I get it, but we have to encourage them to, number one, respect themselves. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we have to promote them to know that we see them. I look at a lot of guys, and my brothers in the generation right under me. They walk around in hoodies in 100-degree weather.
Bruh, I'm in the school
saying?
system. I had to check you. I said, yo, it's 97 degrees outside with humidity.
Right. But here it is, bro. They feel that that's their safe haven.
Yeah.
It's nothing wrong with them. A lot of them aren't bad kids.
Right.
But they feel that that's their safe haven. I feel a piece of home with me when I wear this hoodie.
Yeah.
But here's the danger, is that others have just this statistic on us and have profiled us that anybody who wears a hoodie is affiliated with gangs. And because they look this way, I'm going to treat them this certain kind of way to where they are harmless, right? Mm-hmm. So we have to let them know that, hey, even though you are the way that you are, we want to allow you to be that. We also want to inform you of these dangers that are out here.
Yeah.
We have to. And then we got to tell them how to band together. Because I always say this, bro, if our generation hasn't banded together by now, it ain't going to happen. So now we got to depend on the next generation to try to do something to bring us all together, man. So I think it depends on how we steward this next generation that comes after us, man. That's going to help determine how we're going to move forward, especially in this climate, man. With this racial climate, it's getting crazy and crazy. If you look at those who are doing these shootings and these mass shootings, a lot of those people are younger than us.
Yeah.
It speaks to that generation right under us. So we have to let them know their values. We have to protect them and allow them. And this is why I brought up the thing about, wanting to be, your favorite rapper or basketball player. We have to let them know these laws. We have to let them know these things that have been placed upon. We got to let them know about the history of Juneteenth. We got to let them know about slavery. We got to let them know that this is what you're fighting for. Mm-hmm. That no matter, at the end of the day, you're a Black man in America. Don't matter if you're 18, 19, 22, you're a Black man in America. And if we don't inform them the importance of that, they'll get caught up.
What's one of the biggest lessons the pandemic taught you?
One of the biggest lessons the pandemic taught me was to know me.
Wow.
Learn who Anthony is. Because if I don't know who Anthony is, people will mistake my gift for my personality. Two different things. Your gift and your personality are two different things. I can get up and speak to a crowd of 30,000 people, right? And I could get right back in my car and drive off, still messed up, still not knowing who I am. And I'm not saying this arrogantly, what I believe is a great accomplishment of mine was one day I spoke to about 30,000 people online. Nobody was in the room. And in that moment, I had a choice. I could conform to who I saw everybody else be in moments like that, or I could be myself. And because I was myself, more people were affected by what I said. So the pandemic taught me how to know myself.
Who or what inspires Anthony Oaks Jr. today?
Who or what? My wife always inspires me. My wife inspires me to do so much, inspires me to be who I am. But I also have my little brother, who's a musician as well. And I say that because I'm always working to make sure that I'm having a great foundation for him to follow.
Mm.
Not making him be me over again.
Yeah.
But forming some sort of path that he sees that this is the direction that I can go in should I need to do so. I'm going to teach you how to be independent. I'm going to teach you how to be your own man and all of that. But just know that you have a choice. You have a path that you can follow. I'm talking about if I'm making certain investments and passing stocks down to him, you know, whatever it may be, I want to make sure that I'm leaving a good foundation for my brother to follow. So my brother inspires me, man, and definitely my wife.
Last question. We're going to close this thing out.
Sure.
What advice do you have to dreamers?
Don't let anybody tell you that your dream is wrong.
Mm.
One of the dangers that we have in our society is when we have those who we expect to push our dreams, but crush them.
Mm.
They crush them for two reasons. They're either scared that your dream is going to come through or they're threatened by your dream. So don't let nobody shut your dream down. It's crazy enough that we struggle accepting our own dreams. Sometimes we think our own dreams are too big.
Mm.
But there comes a point, man, when you have to allow yourself to push past people pleasing. If I please people, I'll stop dreaming.
Wow.
But if I care about myself, I'll always dream.
Yo, y'all heard that. Listen. And thank you for coming through, bro.
Bro, thank you for having me, man.
Oh my gosh. Y'all, listen. The dream starts with you. Go for it. Write the vision. Make it plain. Recite it.
Yeah.
Own it. Live it. It's yours. Y'all, be safe. Keep that mask on, please. Don't hurt nobody. We out here.
This is the moment when I realize